Hi everyone, I'm Jacob, and this is Shuckle TV, and today we're attempting a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Platinum with a twist. I can't catch a single Pokemon during this entire run. The only things we can use are gifts given to us. This leaves us with 9 possible encounters, however, we can't actually get all of them. We can only pick one of the 3 starters. We can also only get a single fossil, which means this will leave us with 6 total Pokemon for the entire game. Empoleon is out because Prinplup cannot defeat the Grass Gym and he'll be the only thing we have. I'm unsure whether or not Grotle would be able to handle the Skuntank in the Eterna Galactic building, so Torterra's out too. I've also put Vaporeon there instead of Eevee because it is the only thing that can learn Waterfall to help us get to the end of the game. For my rules, you can check the comments, but basically I'm playing on set mode. If something faints, it's dead, and I won't be overleveling past the gym leader's ace. I name myself Jake, and I name my rival Juanda. And with that, our journey begins. The game starts off with a news broadcast. Emergency alert for the Sinnoh region? All wild Pokemon have gone feral and are considered dangerous. Poke capture devices have also stopped functioning, meaning no new Pokemon can safely be captured. If you are a 10-year-old boy with a baseball cap and backpack about to receive a starter Pokemon, we highly recommend you do not set out on a journey today. You may die. Huh. TV is crazy. Our journey starts off like any other. We head out with our rival Juanda, who decides that our best option for getting starter Pokemon is to run through the bush to reach Professor Rowan's lab in Sandgem Town. Professor Rowan actually ends up showing up because he was over at the lake just to the left of our town with his assistant, and he even mentions giving us our very own rare and unique starter Pokemon. You'd think it'd be a little weird to give random kids you just met a unique Pokemon that you only have one of, but whatever, researchers. After Dawn shows up, it looks like we are going to get our chance to choose from our 3 starter Pokemon, but as I said earlier, it's likely we're going with Chimchar because the others won't be able to handle things. After that, the professor lectures us on being safe before he finally gives us the opportunity to choose our Pokemon. After pretending to deliberate my choices, I eventually pick Chimchar. We grab our starter and then Juanda grabs his. Oh, I guess he must have already gotten it and ran off. Oh well, it's just like him. I then name my Chimchar Monkey Fist. If you happen to figure out what my naming theme is, feel free to leave a guess in the comments. We then run into Dawn, and she so generously gives us a gift of $500. After beating many trainers and making my way to Orberg City, we gain enough experience to evolve Monkey Fist into a Monferno. I continue to EV grind health and attack on him, as well as edge his experience really close to leveling up before taking on the first gym. We then start our fight with Rourke, and this is going to be a very tough one, and I would not be surprised if this ends the run. We lead with Monkey Fist, obviously, being the only one we have, and he leads with Geodude. A Mach Punch does do over half his health, but Rock Throw hits hard. We then use another Mach Punch, and it wipes out the Geodude, and this is why I edged my experience. It levels us up, and we gain 3 HP and 1 defense. That is going to be critical in this fight. He sends out Onix next, we use another Mach Punch, and he hits back with a Rock Throw. I actually decide to use Ember in this situation to do a little less damage, so Rourke hopefully doesn't use a potion on his Onix. Unfortunately, he does end up still healing. We hit another Mach Punch, dropping him just below half, but the next Mach Punch doesn't actually kill him, so we take an additional Rock Throw before finally finishing off the Onix, but now we only have 19 health left for the Cranidos. We need to kill him in 1 hit with Mach Punch, but it doesn't happen. He hits us back with a headbutt, and we just barely manage to hold on with 4 health. This means that with 1 more Mach Punch, we can take out the Cranidos and claim victory against the first gym. We then take on Commander Mars, who has a Zubat and a Purugly, and the Purugly is evolved far earlier than it's supposed to be. I gave Return to Monkey Fist in order to deal with the Zubat, and 2 returns is enough to take him out. Purugly then comes in, and it's going to use Fake Out. We use Mach Punch, but it outspeeds us, and it crits and deals half of our health and damage. We use Mach Punch next turn and deal over half of its health, but it's holding a Citrus Berry that allows it to heal, and then our next Mach Punch doesn't quite knock it out, and we take another powerful scratch. Our final Mach Punch does win us the battle, though. We then reach Eterna City, and I talk to an old man in order to get an explorer's kit so I can toss myself into a giant hole beneath the city. This is the Sinnoh underground that spans the underside of the entire region. You can come down here, you can dig secret bases and put stuff in them. You can find traps underground and bury them to mess with other players if you connect online or through local connectivity. You can also look for yellow sparkles in the wall in order to dig for treasure. These treasures might include heart scales, which you can use to relearn moves, spheres that you can use to trade for things to put in your secret bases, plates, which are held items that boost the power of specific moves. You can also find fossils, which is what we are looking for. And I actually get really lucky and find one on the very first wall. I carefully try to excavate it, and I end up caving the whole wall in, losing the fossil in the process. It takes me 2 more hours to find another fossil. And you can bet that I am very careful when I find this one. We managed to excavate it, and it's an armor fossil, meaning I will be getting a Shieldon, which evolves into Bastiodon. We revive the Shieldon and name him Dementor. He even has a PhD. We then head straight to the second gym. I needed a fossil to give the experience share to so that Monferno could beat the gym trainers without overleveling. We're now fighting Gardenia, and she leads with Turtwig, and we go for a Flame Wheel that just barely doesn't kill the Turtwig, and it sets up a Reflect. I know she's going to heal now, and I don't actually want to kill the Turtwig right away. I would prefer to stall the turns of Reflect since this Turtwig can't do anything, so I go for Rock Smash, hoping to lower its defense and just do a little bit of damage. Turtwig actually sets up Sunny Day on the next turn, meaning, yeah, I think it's probably time to just go ahead with Flame Wheel and try sweeping through everything. We wipe out the Turtwig with a Flame Wheel. Cherrim comes in next and turns into its slightly prettier form before taking a Flame Wheel, but it does do over half health. It hits us with a pretty weak Magical Leaf in return, but the sun's still there, so next turn we go for another Flame Wheel and take it down. Roserade comes out next, but the Reflect has now faded, meaning it is not going to take a Flame Wheel well, and with that, the second gym is ours. I then get rid of Return and teach the inferior move Cut to Monferno because I need someone to be able to use the HMs and I need Cut to progress. Inside the Eterna Galactic building, we find Commander Jupiter, and this is a pretty scary fight. This Zubat has Giga Drain, and she has a Skuntank 12 levels before it's supposed to evolve. I decide that Dementor is the one that needs to handle Zubat because I need Monferno at full health to try and deal with the Skuntank. Zubat does have Giga Drain, but Dementor is very tanky, and a couple Rock Tombs deal a lot of damage while also lowering Zubat's speed. Another Giga Drain here brings us to about half health, but the final Rock Tomb takes out Zubat, and now she's going to send in Skuntank. Our Quick Claw actually activates here, but it doesn't really matter. We land a relatively weak Rock Tomb on Skuntank, however it does lower its speed. But then he hits us with a Night Slash, and it crits. But we just barely manage to hold on and live. This allows us to switch into Monkey Fist. We take a pretty weak Night Slash, and then go for a Flame Wheel. This fight is actually the reason we would never be able to pick Torterra either. Monferno is fighting type and resists Night Slash, Grotle wouldn't and wouldn't be able to handle this Skuntank. After taking a Screech and a Smoke Screen, we then get hit with a very powerful Night Slash. We do have an Oranberry that heals us, but it ultimately doesn't really matter because we go for a Flame Wheel next turn, we outspeed, and we kill the Skuntank. With that, we've defeated Commander Jupiter. We then meet a nice and not at all terrifying lady who gives us an egg. We then go get a bike, and we immediately use it to get irreparable motion sickness in order to hatch our egg. It's a Togepi, and we name her Senor Senior Jr., and now it's time to raise this little egghead. After equipping the Soothe Bell and doing a little bit more biking, Junior evolves into a Togetic. We then get an Eevee and name him Dr. Draken. I then use the Water Stone that I found during my 2-hour journey into the underground to evolve it into a Vaporeon. After that, we immediately head to the third gym, after a little bit of training, of course. I've got a good plan for this gym. I lead with Monkey Fist and she leads with Duskull. This thing has Will-O-Wisp and I'd prefer not to be burned, but luckily we're a fire type, we don't have to worry about that. I hit it with a Flame Wheel, it goes for a Future Sight, which is great. Another Flame Wheel takes it down, and I'm just going to switch out because I don't want to take this Future Sight. Dementor can easily handle the Haunter because he resists everything it can do. We take the Future Sight attack like it's nothing. I then go for Stealth Rocks because I really want to chip away at the Mismagius before it comes in, but Haunter puts us to sleep. I gave myself a Chesto Berry though, so I could wake up and hit myself in confusion. Shadow Claw does a little bit of damage, and we do set up the Stealth Rocks. Next turn, Shadow Claw does very little damage, and we do hit a pretty nice Rock Tomb on Haunter, dealing about 40% of his health. Next turn, we hit another Rock Tomb, putting him very low. Another one will take him out. He uses Confuse Ray, but can Dementor do it? Another Rock Tomb, and Haunter is gone. Mismagius comes out next, and I would love to land a Rock Tomb and slow this thing down. It hits us with a Magical Leaf, but Dementor is very bulky. However, he is still confused and he hits himself. I decide to risk a crit here, and I go for another Rock Tomb. Magical Leaf doesn't crit, we snap out of confusion, and the Rock Tomb hits for a little bit of damage, but it lowers Mismagius' speed. We then switch out to Junior and take that Shadow Ball as if it was nothing. Next turn, I go for Encore thinking I would outspeed, but I actually don't, even with the speed drop on Mismagius, so I end up Encoring Psybeam, which, it's not really a huge deal. I go for Yawn to put the Mismagius to sleep. I then switch over to Vaporeon, whose job here is to kick a lot of sand into Mismagius' face. We go for a Sand Attack. Mismagius sleeps. Next turn, we go for a Sand Attack. Mismagius wakes up and hits us with a Psybeam. Doesn't do very much though, and we kick some more sand in its face. Then we continue turn after turn to kick that sand, and it finally starts going for Magical Leaf when the Encore ends, but this Vaporeon is very specially defensive. It takes those Magical Leafs as though they're nothing. Eventually, he is on the verge of death though, so we switch him out. I switch to Togetic and take a Magical Leaf, but it doesn't do very much damage. I then go for Yawn, because I want to put the Mismagius to sleep so I can safely send Monferno in. It uses a Magical Leaf again. So, I'm hoping it continues to do that, and I can lock it in with Encore, but it goes for Psybeam. It does fall asleep though, and now is the best time to bring in Monferno. I switch Monkey Fist in, and then next turn go for a Flame Wheel. It deals a large chunk of damage to Mismagius, but doesn't quite kill it, and then it does heal with the Citrus Berry it's holding. Another Flame Wheel does knock out the Mismagius, though, giving us our third gym badge. We're then supposed to meet Huanda at this checkpoint, but he doesn't show up. Weird. Dementor then evolves into a Bastiodon. I then head to the game corner to collect some coins in order to get some awesome TMs for my teammates. Game corners are a pretty interesting thing in Pokemon games. They did stop having them after this game, but otherwise before then they were a staple in many of the games. You would go, you would gamble away some coins in order to get Pokemon or TMs. The problem was getting Platinum approved internationally. In a lot of other places in the world, having any gambling in the game meant that it wouldn't be able to get a family rating and would actually be rated PG. Even during this time, they actually removed the slot machines in Europe's version of Platinum just to comply with those ratings. As I've been talking about this, I've also been playing the slots and winning some coins, as you can see. The slots are weighed in your favor, so it's more of a war of attrition. However, it is very tedious for what I'd like to do, so I'm actually just going to hack infinite money in, but only use it to buy coins for the game corner, so that I can then buy different TMs for my team. After cheating the system, we then visit an old man in his house and get a Porygon from him. This is going to be a really important member of our team because I have the Universal Randomizer on, and it has allowed impossible evolutions. We name our Porygon Duff Killigan, and then immediately evolve it into Porygon 2, a very powerful Pokemon. After that, I update the whole team with some awesome new moves thanks to the TMs that I got from the game corner, and we go on to take the 4th gym. She leads with Meditite, which isn't particularly scary, and I lead with Porygon 2, who gets a special attack boost. She then hits me with a Fake Out that does paltry damage, and then we retaliate with a Thunderbolt next turn, wiping out the Meditite. She then sends out Machoke, but a Psychic with the special attack boost easily knocks it out in one hit. She then sends out her ace Lucario, and this is where things are going to get a little scarier. She is going to outspeed me, but I go for a Psychic. She hits with a Force Palm and it does half my health. I hit back with the Psychic and do over half of Lucario's health, but I can't stay in now. My best option is to switch over to Vaporeon because he can tank a few hits, and then I'm just going to kick sand into its face repeatedly. By the way, if you are enjoying the video, I would love if you'd hit that subscribe button, it really helps out the channel. After we get off 2 sand attacks, Dr. Draken drops a little too low to stay in the fight. So, we switch over to Junior. She takes the Drain Punch pretty well, so she should be able to survive even if the next one happened to crit. We go for a Yawn next turn, and then switch out to Monkey Fist. Now we're ready to try and end this fight. Luckily, Monkey Fist doesn't get paralyzed by the Force Palm during the incoming switch. Lucario then falls asleep, and a Flame Wheel deals most of his health. I then go for Flame Wheel here, thinking that Maylene's going to heal, but she doesn't, so this was a mistake and I should have gone for Mach Punch, because I risked losing this fight to a critical hit from Lucario if he had woken up this turn. We're not punished though, and we end up taking the 4th badge. Monkey Fist then evolves into an Infernape. We head straight to the 5th gym to take on Crasher Wake. He leads with Gyarados, and I lead with Duff Killigan. So an interesting thing happens here at the beginning of the fight. I actually get a special attack boost from Porygon's download ability. If your opponent's defense is lower than their special defense, your attack goes up. If their special defense is lower, you gain special attack. This is surprising because Gyarados has way higher special defense than defense. It turns out that this Gyarados specifically has a defense increasing nature and a special defense decreasing nature, but it also has 31 IVs in both stats, and that was the only situation that it would actually work out like this. Porygon then murders the Gyarados with a single Thunderbolt after easily tanking a Waterfall. Floatzel comes out next, and this is why that special attack boost is actually really helpful. A regular Thunderbolt might not have one-shot this Pokemon, but with the special attack boost, it easily obliterates it. Now we're sitting at half health, and all that Crasher Wake has left is Quagsire. This is not particularly threatening anymore. We use Recover to fully heal, and then Quagsire goes for a very weak Rock Tomb. After that, we just hit him with a Psychic, it deals most of his health and damage, and he retaliates with a Mud Shot that also doesn't do very much damage. Crasher Wake does heal next turn, prolonging the battle, but we land another Psychic that once again leaves Quagsire with just a sliver of health. He then goes for a Water Pulse, doesn't do much, and we retaliate with a Psychic that finishes the fight off and wins us the 5th gym badge. We then learn about a potential terrorist attack in the Great Marsh by Team Galactic. I think they were successful. We then meet up with Cynthia again, and she gives us a secret potion to heal some Psyduck's headaches because they were blocking our path to Celestic Town earlier in the game. We then head to Celestic Town to meet Cynthia's grandmother, and this man named Cyrus. Cyrus is the leader of Team Galactic, and wouldn't you know it, this man is apparently 27. Have you seen what he looked like? He has had some horrifying midlife crisis that he does not want to talk about. Instead, he just wants to destroy the world. He leads with a Sneasel and we easily wipe it out with a Flame Wheel. He's not particularly scary at this point. He will get a lot scarier later on in the game once he gains some more Pokemon and they fully evolve. But for now, he's got a Golbat. We switch over to Dr. Draken and we're going to easily be able to tank any moves that it can do while whittling it down with 2 Ice Beams. He misses another Supersonic, and the second Ice Beam takes him down, and I actually speed things up here because all he has left is a Murkrow that easily gets wiped out by a single Ice Beam. I then return to a previous cave in order to get the Earthquake TM because it's going to be really important. We then head to Iron Island, where we meet a man named Riley, and we travel through the island with him. Now, interesting thing here, this is a double battle between these Ace Trainers, but you can talk to the one on the left so that it's not actually a double battle and you fight them one at a time. I highly recommend that in Nuzlocke because double battles are incredibly scary, and both of these trainers have 3 Pokemon. You do not want to do a double battle against 6 Pokemon with a teammate like Riley who has 1 Pokemon. If his Lucario dies, it is you against 2 enemies for the rest of the fight. It is a very bad situation that you should avoid at all costs. We get into a scary situation here when his Staraptor comes in. Staraptor has close combat, and Dementor manages to take this quadruple effect of close combat. We then switch to Dr. Draken, who actually gets crit by a close combat. Things are a little scary now. I can't really switch to other people safely, so I just have to hope that the next attack doesn't crit. But Staraptor uses Takedown, which is even stronger. But we just barely managed to hold on with 15 health. And with the close combats lowering his special defense, a single Ice Beam easily takes out the Staraptor. That was a pretty close one. I'm starting to realize just how weak my team is against Pokemon with fighting type moves. Anyway, we easily take down this hippopotamus and then finish off that fight before fighting the other trainer who, wouldn't you know it, has multiple Pokemon with incredibly powerful fighting moves. But we managed to get through that alive, and Riley eventually gives us an egg containing a Riolu that we named Sinnoh Senior, and quickly evolve it into a Lucario. Immediately after that, we use the shiny stone that we found in Iron Island to evolve our Togetic into a Togekiss. Next up is the 6th gym, but this really isn't particularly threatening. It's a Steel-type gym, and unfortunately for Byron, the gym leader, every single one of his Pokemon is incredibly weak to Lucario's Aura Sphere, a 90 base power special move that is fighting type and it cannot miss. We outspeed each and every one of his Pokemon and Aura Sphere them to death, one at a time. He finally ends things off with his ace, Bastiodon, and we've seen how great Dementor has done, but just can't stand up to an Aura Sphere from our Lucario. And with that, we have the 6th gym badge, and we're off to meet up with Rowan and Dawn. The three of us talk about how the Great Lakes seem to be in danger, and how Team Galactic wants to kidnap the Guardians there. Now, Professor Rowan suggests that we check things out, so I'm tasked with checking out 2 of the lakes, and Dawn is tasked with checking out 1, and we also have to check out hers too. We meet up with Team Galactic and some floppy Magikarps, easily wiping them out, then taking on Commander Mars before we head north to Canada, in order to reach the 7th gym leader, Candace. The 7th gym leader uses ice types, which aren't particularly scary. She leads with Sneasel, and I lead with Monkey Fist, and a single close combat easily wipes it out. She then sends in Piloswine, or Piloswine, never really known between the two. Another close combat easily takes this thing down. I'm surprised she doesn't have a Mamoswine by this point, honestly. Frostlass comes out next, and this is a little scary, at least for Infernape. I've already dropped my defense and special defense with close combat, so we send in Dementor, who easily takes anything this Frostlass can dish out. And I did teach it Flamethrower so that it can do at least a decent chunk of damage to Frostlass. It starts using Double Team to set up Evasion, but Dementor doesn't care, and he lands a Flamethrower that deals about 40% of Frostlass's health. I then set up a Stealth Rocks in order to hurt the Abomasnow when it comes in afterwards, and then continue using Flamethrowers. Frostlass has a Citrus Berry that heals it, and then it retaliates with a Blizzard that does very little damage. Another Flamethrower deals a large chunk of damage to Frostlass, leaves it right about to die, but it burns it, killing it with the burn damage, preventing Candace from healing it, which is fantastic. Abomasnow comes out next, and with its ability Snow Warning, sets up Hail, which is a little annoying, but not a big deal. So it's going to go for Focus Blast, which is a fighting move in this situation. I decide Vaporeon is the best option to send in to easily tank that Focus Blast, but then also bait in a Wood Hammer next turn, which allows me a very safe switch to Infernape. So next turn I switch back to Monkey Fist and take that Wood Hammer, and then easily wipe out that Abomasnow with a single Flame Wheel. And that's it. That's the 7th gym. We gain the ability to use Rock Climb, but we reached the last lake too late, and Team Galactic has already stolen the legendary Pokemon. We do then enter their base in Veilstone and get a Dubious Disc, which allows us to evolve our Porygon 2 into Porygon Z. We then walk into a pretty crazy rally that Cyrus seems to be holding, where he talks a little bit about his plans to take over the world and what he wants to do with the legendary Pokemon's power and how he wants to destroy stuff and feels so wronged and all of those things, you know. We then beat him up. After that, we go down into the basement, we press a single button, and we free all of the legendary Pokemon before heading to Spear Pillar ourselves, where he is trying to take control of Dialga and Palkia in order to create his very own world. With the help of the legendary Pokemon and this weird shadow creature, we managed to stop Cyrus's plan, but can you believe this isn't a children's game? I'm gonna be honest. Take a look at this and tell me that if you were 8 or 9 that this wouldn't have been a little scary. After being jump scared and sent to the Shadow Realm, we then proceed through the Distortion world, where gravity and physics and all of those things, they just don't really matter. So, we ride a waterfall down that is flowing upwards as we don't fall, well, hanging off of it sideways. We then meet up with Cyrus, and we are going to settle things in this final showdown. He leads with Houndoom, and I lead with Dr. Draken. He can't really do anything in this situation. He does burn our Vaporeon, but a single Surf then easily wipes out the Houndoom. Gyarados comes out next, and Gyarados can't kill Vaporeon in this situation, so I decide that the best option is to just use Sand Attack in order to weaken it a little bit. It does hit me with an Earthquake that deals a decent chunk of damage, and then we land the Sand Attack, and Burn deals a lot. So we switch over to Togekiss because he's going for Earthquake, and then we outspeed, so we lock him into Earthquake with Encore. We then use Yawn to put him to sleep, but I decide it's best to just stay in his Togekiss since he's locked into Earthquake, and I start hitting him with Air Slashes that don't do a ton of damage, but are hurting the Gyarados, and we aren't in any position to be threatened by what he's doing right now. Unfortunately, Cyrus uses a full restore to fully heal, and then I go for an Encore because it ends, and I learned that Encore doesn't affect the previously used move if there was a healing item used in between. It's actually only the last turn, not the last move used. So then he goes for Ice Fang, and we switch over to Duff Killigan, who easily tanks a single Ice Fang and then retaliates with a Thunderbolt, wiping out the Gyarados. After Gyarados falls, the Honchkrow comes in next, which isn't very scary because it doesn't outspeed Duff Killigan. An Ice Beam easily takes out Honchkrow, and then Cyrus brings out his fourth Pokemon, Weavile. This one is scarier. This is his ace Pokemon. It goes for a Fake Out, deals a little bit of damage, and we go for Recover after tanking an Ice Punch that actually does a fair amount of damage. Recover heals us a lot, and then we just decide to go for it again, but Weavile's next Ice Punch freezes us, and we don't defrost. Now I need to switch out, and so I switch to Monkey Fist and take an Ice Punch, and luckily don't get frozen. Next turn, I do take another hit and go for Close Combat. This Weavile is probably the only Pokemon in the game that's going to outspeed my Infernape. Well, other than maybe this Crobat that he sends out next. Anyway, we switch over to Dementor, because this Crobat only has a Poison and a Flying move and Confuse Ray. It has nothing to deal with our Steel Rock type Pokemon. So I speed things up because it can't do anything, and I just start spamming Flamethrowers, dealing a little bit of chip damage, but ultimately taking almost nothing back myself. Eventually, managing to kill the Crobat with a final Flamethrower and stop Cyrus in his tracks. We then meet the legendary Shadow, Giratina, or Giratina. I'm also not 100% between the two. I think it's the first one, though. I lead with Sinnoh, Senior, and go for a Dark Pulse. It deals a nice chunk of damage, and it flinches the Giratina. Next turn, I go for Dark Pulse, dealing another chunk of damage and flinching the Giratina. On my third turn, I go for Dark Pulse, dealing a nice chunk of damage and killing the Giratina. So much for that fight. We then move on to the 8th gym leader, Volkner, who specializes in electric types and says he's going to give up being a gym leader if we don't show him the fight of his life, and I don't think he's going to be particularly happy with what we do. He leads with Jolteon, and I lead with Infernape, who I've now taught Earthquake. I use a Swords Dance turn 1, but he paralyzes me with Thunder Wave. But I'm prepared for this and equipped a Cherry Berry. Cures the paralysis, and from here on out, things do not look good for Volkner. A single Earthquake takes down the Jolteon. He then sends out Raichu, and wouldn't you know it, a single Earthquake takes down the Raichu. Next, he sends out Electivire, and things go very different than the last Pokemon. I go for Earthquake, and it takes him out in one hit. But there's still one Pokemon left. Volkner sends out his final Mon, Luxray, and I go for Earthquake. His Luxray goes for not moving before me, and dies. And with that, we have the 8th gym badge. And then, this is actual dialogue in the Pokemon game. Volkner then says that this was the greatest fight he can remember, that he had such a fun time, and he's gonna stay a gym leader. We then blast through Victory Road and reach the Elite Four. There's only 5 battles left in the game. I heal up, and then I decide to make some adjustments to my team. These are the final movesets and held items before I go into the Elite Four. Honestly, the team's looking pretty good, and I feel confident in being able to handle the Elite Four, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. We then step up to this man that checks that we have our 8 badges, and he clears us, so we're good to start the Elite Four. We head inside. Aaron, the Bug-type specialist, is the first Elite Four member. He's not particularly scary though. We do lead with Dementor, and I want to set up a Stealth Rocks because it's going to do a lot of damage to all of his Pokemon as they switch in. He starts with Yanmega, who begins setting up Evasion, but I decide, I'm just not going to bother with that, and I go for an Ancient Power, hit him anyway, and wipe it out. So, an interesting thing about the Elite Four in later games is that you're given the option to choose which members to fight in whichever order you want, and all of them have the same levels. In Platinum, and the games before it, you don't have that option. They're actually in order from 1 to 4, and their levels increase as you go. The problem with this is the champion has a level 62 Pokemon. Aaron has multiple level 49 Pokemon. You are not going to go up 13 levels or anywhere near that amount over the course of the Elite Four. Most of my Pokemon might go up 1 level, and some might not even go up a single level. I have set the level cap equal to the 4th Elite Four member's ace in order to make things balanced over the course of the 4 Elite Four members and the champion. The problem with this is the fact that these early members pose very little threat because of how low of a level they are compared to you. So as you can see, all of Aaron's bug Pokemon just get pretty easily obliterated. Yeah, I have to play around a few things, but the massive level advantage also does allow me to be a little more risky or do whatever I really want in order to obliterate each of his Pokemon. After a Flare Blitz wipes out the Vespiquen, that's it, Aaron's done. Bertha, the Ground-type trainer, is up next, and she leads with a Whiscash, and I lead with Duff Killigan. Sadly, I get an attack boost with download, so that won't be helping us, but I go for an Ice Beam turn 1, do a little over half of Whiscash's health, and it retaliates with an Earth Power that really doesn't do very much. Next turn, I finish off the Whiscash with an Ice Beam. Glysaur comes out next, and we go for another Ice Beam. This thing's quadruple weak to ice, and it easily obliterates it. Next up is Hippowdon, which is a little annoying because it sets up Sandstream. It itself isn't really a huge threat, it's going down to a single Ice Beam, but that Sandstorm is a problem because her next Pokemon is Golem and her last one is Rhyperior. Sandstorm increases Rock-type Pokemon's special defense by 50%. This means that Ice Beam probably isn't going to actually kill this Golem in one hit, so I switch over to Junior, anticipating an Earthquake, and then I decide to Encore and lock it into Earthquake. The Sandstorm continues to rage, and we take a little bit of damage from that, but next turn I go for a Yawn in order to put the Golem to sleep. I then go for an Air Slash just to chip away at its health a little bit, before next turn switching over to Vaporeon. With the Golem still asleep, I consider setting up a substitute here, and I feel like it's the best option. If the Golem stays asleep for 2 turns, we get a substitute to protect us from the Rhyperior. Unfortunately, it wakes up after 1 turn, uses Earthquake, and destroys our substitute, and we take some more Sandstorm damage. I decide to just go for Surf now, and it wipes out the Golem. After the Golem goes down, her ace, Rhyperior, comes out, and it is still quadruple weak to water, so I go for the Surf, and it takes it down. That's Bertha. The 3rd member of the Elite Four is Ronald McDonald, and he specializes in Fire-type Pokemon. He leads with a Houndoom, and I lead with Monkey Fist. Houndoom really can't do anything in this situation, so we just go for a Swords Dance, and he sets up Sunny Day, accomplishing nothing. Next turn, I go for an Earthquake, and it just obliterates the Houndoom. He then sends out his own Infernape, but his monkey has nothing on ours, and a single Earthquake easily takes it out. Next up is Rapidash, and I think you can already see where this battle is going. We outspeed, we go for another Earthquake, and it takes out the Rapidash. He has 2 members of his team left, but I don't really think they're going to be able to do much. Flareon comes out next, and it also just sits there as we go first, hit it with an Earthquake, and take it out. His ace is Magmortar, who also can't do anything in this situation, and we outspeed him, take him down with an Earthquake, and claim victory over the 3rd Elite Four member. The fourth Elite Four member is Lucian, who in most situations would actually be a pretty threatening fight considering the Pokemon he has, but he leads with Mr. Mime, who is very exploitable. We go for Yawn, but Mr. Mime outspeeds us and sets up Reflect. Next turn, he goes for a Light Screen and we Encore him, locking him into using Light Screen for the next 3 to 7 turns. As you can imagine, that's not particularly helpful for Lucian. We then switch to Monkey Fist, and things do not go well for Lucian from here. We set up a Swords Dance while Mr. Mime sleeps, and then we set up a second Swords Dance, putting us at +4 attack. We go for a Flare Blitz after Reflect wears off, and it wipes out the Mr. Mime. Now it does do recoil damage, but I've equipped Monkey Fist with a Shell Bell, which heals us based on a percentage of the damage that we deal, which helps to alleviate a little bit of the pressure that Flare Blitz puts on us. Flare Blitz then takes out the Espeon, and we take another chunk of recoil damage. Alakazam comes out next, but a single Flare Blitz is more than enough to take it out. I do have to keep an eye on my health though, because the recoil damage is starting to add up and we're starting to get a little low on health. Gallade comes out and we have 99 health. I go for a Flare Blitz and it wipes out the Gallade, but the recoil damage leaves us at 44 health, so we took 55 damage from it. Our Shell Bell then heals us and brings us up to 64, we level up and reach 67, and he just has Bronzong left. We do have enough health to Flare Blitz and take out the Bronzong without killing ourselves from the recoil damage, though it is a little close. We did need the Shell Bell in this situation to continually sweep through Lucian. All that's left now is the champion. We meet Cynthia and prepare for our final battle of the run. She leads with Spiritomb, and we lead with Junior. In this situation, I'm hoping Spiritomb goes for Dark Pulse, and he does, sealing Cynthia's fate. I Encore, locking him into Dark Pulse, before I make the final switch of the battle. We change to Monkey Fist, Spiritomb falls asleep, and we go for Swords Dance. We set up another Swords Dance, once again putting us at +4 attack, before we start to sweep through every unsuspecting member of her team. We go for Earthquake to take out the Spiritomb first. Milotic comes out second, and a close combat is more than enough to punch this gigantic fish to death. Her third Pokemon is Togekiss, and although we know Togekiss is very bulky, it can't handle a Flare Blitz in this situation. Flare Blitz obliterates the Togekiss, but we do take a lot of recoil damage. Luckily, I still have the Shell Bell on, just in case, to make sure that we are staying at a good amount of health, because one of her Pokemon does have extreme speed. Her Garchomp comes out next, and we punch him with 1,000 fists, wiping him out with a single close combat. After Garchomp goes down, we heal a little bit from the Shell Bell, and Roserade comes out next. A single Earthquake will take out the Roserade. I don't go for Flare Blitz here because I don't want to take more recoil damage due to her final Pokemon, Lucario, having extreme speed, and I've already used multiple close combats to drop my defense. I can't get in death range of that. Lucario comes out last, and he doesn't go for extreme speed when we go for a close combat, allowing us to take him down in a single hit and granting us victory. We have won. We've taken down every fight in the game. We never caught a single Pokemon, and we didn't even have a single Pokemon faint on us either. This was my first attempt at a Pokeball-less hardcore Nuzlocke, and this was my first deathless Nuzlocke. I am very surprised at how well things went. There were some difficult situations to get around, especially in the early game, but Platinum provided such a solid team of guaranteed Pokemon that we managed to get through this entire journey without actually losing anyone. I am still surprised that that's the case, but I have to say I definitely feel really good about the outcome here. If any of you are ever attempting a Platinum Nuzlocke, hopefully this video may help you out a little bit with some tips and tricks just because of the fact that you've seen me use only Pokemon that you are guaranteed to get in every single run. I'd never actually picked Chimchar before in any of the runs I've done in the Sinnoh region, and I've gotta say, Infernape did a phenomenal job. Definitely the MVP for the run, but Togekiss also contributed a lot. A fast Encore is incredible at exploiting the AI. Thank you everyone for joining me on this journey. I'm excited to return to Sinnoh with the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl remakes that are coming out very soon, but my next video is going to be one even crazier than anything I've ever done before. I'll keep it a surprise for now, though. Make sure to subscribe and tune back in soon, though, if you'd like to see what it is. Thanks everyone. This has been Shuckle TV.